State-of-the-art editing facilities, recording studios, and everything needed for film and video productions. By the way, there are no photo restrictions on your tour today, so you can shoot as much film and video as you like. Even the dreaded flash photography is allowed. And by the way, Ron is very photogenic. You can take as many pictures of him and me as you'd like. Also, we do sign autographs at the end of our tour. Isn't that right, Ron? Yeah. Yep, that's right. Now, the first picture you might want to take is high in the sky up to your right. That is a symbol of the Disney-MGM Studios. It's our award-winning Earful Tower. Now, that masterpiece stands 13 stories tall and is capped off by a set of Mickey Mouse ears weighing in at 16 tons. Now, in case you're wondering, and I know each and every one of you is wondering, that is a hat size of 342 and 3/8 inches. Now, down towards the ground on the right-hand side is one of our prop storage areas. We like to call this motorful. Now, the black classic car with the green spokes was used in The Untouchables, starring Sean Connery and Kevin Costner. And from this yellow car all the way down, that whole row of colorful vintage cars, all those were used in last summer's blockbuster hit, Dick Tracy. Now, if you look across the street, you'll see the bungalows, and that's where we house production teams that are currently filming here at the studios. Bungalow number 1 is the home to Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. They're currently filming here at the studios. Bungalow number 2 is the home to the production crew to That's My Dog, a new TV game show. Bungalow number 3 is the permanent home to the Mickey Mouse Club. Well, I see that Ron has successfully driven us into a small branch of our greens department. That's kind of surprising since he only got his license back yesterday. Just kidding, Ron. Now, this is where we store Jeeps, planes, trains, automobiles. Maybe not. This is where we store plants, trees, and shrubs until they're needed on set. Now, greenery is often used to hide what the camera's not supposed to see. For instance, we might use a row of these bushes to hide the fact that only a portion of a wall has been built. And if you notice, everything here in the greens department is planted in portable boxes. That's so we can move them from set to set very easily. Now, these sculpted figures on your right-hand side, they're called topiaries, and we have more than 160 different types of topiaries throughout Walt Disney World property. And if the director calls for a 30-foot flower stem, we even have one of those. That unique prop was used in the film Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Now, we're entering one of our more glamorous departments. This is the world of creative costuming. Well, this is the foggy world of creative costuming. Now, costuming, it all begins with a designer's sketch, some of which you can see on the far back wall. Then 180 tailors and seamstresses take over. They use up to 175,000 yards of fabric to produce over 12,000 garments each and every year. Now, if you look at the display cases on your left-hand side, you'll see some of the original costumes worn by Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, Mark Beatty and Madonna and Dick Tracy, Julie Andrews in her 27-year-old Jolly Holiday dress from Mary Poppins, Michael Jackson in his spacesuit from Epcot Center sci-fi thriller Captain EO, and all the gimmick characters of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, here at the Disney-MGM Studios in Florida, we have the world's largest working wardrobe with more than 2.5 million garments, and that number increases each and every working day. Now, it takes more than costuming for productions here at the studios. We do need more technical areas, and this next term you're about to see is our studio's lighting department. Now, here we can produce up to 3.5 million watts of power. That is enough power to illuminate Ron's mansion or a city the size of Orlando. Next, you're going to see our award-winning Dick Tracy makeup shop. This is where we store the masks and equipment used to transform everyday actors such as Al Pacino and Dustin Hoffman into those comic book criminals you saw in the film Dick Tracy. Now, these next 2 rooms is our camera department, and this is where technicians store and maintain the film and video cameras used for our productions here at the studios. Now, one of our video cameras starts at $60,000 a piece. Pretty expensive. Now, finally, on your left-hand side, is your scenic shop. Now, it's not a common house come from antique shops, flea markets, or even garage sales, and if we can't find it, we always do build it. Now, the carpenters in there have recreated everything from a 40-foot submarine to the interior of the United States Supreme Court. Now, as you can see, they are working on a facade for this entire building. That's because this building and the guard shack coming up on your left-hand side is going to be used in the sequel to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Blew Up the Baby, and that is no joke. Now, this is going to simulate Sterling Labs in Nevada. That's where our main character, who is played by Rick Moranis, Wayne Zielinski, that's where he works. And when you do see the film, you can say, well, I saw this here first. Now when production crews travel to cities and towns that film on location, they have to deal with a whole lot of things they have little or no control over, such as crowds, traffic, noise, and even the weather can be a problem, so they prefer to shoot on a studio backlot such as ours. Now we call this part of our backlot Residential Street. That's because we have over 7 different types of American architecture here. Now many people have told me that they love to live here at Walt Disney World, but before you pack your bags and want to move in, you might want to take a look right through this first house coming up on the right hand side, and I do mean right through. Now not all the homes here on Residential Street are just facades or false fronts. They have a steel structure running, well, they don't actually have a steel structure running throughout them. They're used for exterior shots only. Now, if your story took place in the Northeast, you might want to use that Pennsylvania Dutch style house on the right-hand side. Our house was fitting for a winter holiday scene. We brought in some pine trees from our greens department, put up colored lights, and then put down 50 tons of shaved ice. We have Christmas in July. It was about 95 degrees that day. Now, if you look off to your left-hand side, you'll see a Miami Contemporary style home, and in the carport is an actual 1963 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. That was used in the film Tin Men, starring Richard Dreyfuss and Danny DeVito. Now another bonus of working in our backlot is we can even recreate the weather here, and we'll find out more about that later in our tour. Now if you watch Saturday night television, you might notice this next house on the left-hand side. It's a beige Hawaiian style home. This is the home to B. Arthur, Estelle Getty, Rue McClanahan, and Betty White. This is the home to the Emmy Award-winning Golden Girls. Now they shoot all their exterior shots right here in our old backlot, and it's edited together with interior shots that are shot on the soundstage, and it gives us our final product we see on Saturday night television. Now I mentioned earlier about a production crew in bungalow number 2 for the TV game show called That's My Dog. Well, if you look off to your right hand side, you'll see the actual set that's being used in that TV game show. Now they completed filming their pilot about 2 months ago, but they are going to be back here in October to finish filming some more episodes of That's My Dog. So you might want to catch that on cable. It's on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. Now if you need a 30-foot Bulldog, we even have one of those. This unique set is from the film The Rocketeer, and this is where the flyers meet to eat. This is the Bulldog Cafe. Now from the Bulldog Cafe, along with the gyrocopter that was used at the climactic finale of that film, you'll see the GB aircraft. That was given to the pilot Cliff Secord by billionaire Howard Hughes at the end of the film. Well, right across the street is Herbie and counterpart to Residential Street. It's our own New York Street. But right now, Ron has a little detour in mind, so he's going to take us deeper in our backlot area. Is that right, Ron? I guess so. Now coming up on your left-hand side is one of the summer's biggest stars. It's Norman from the film City Slickers, starring Billy Crystal. Now Norman is very friendly. You can't come out and pet him when and if he is over by the fence. The only important thing you need to know is that you cannot feed him. That's very important. He is on a strict diet. Now we're just about to see another prop storage area, or I like to call this prop storage area, Boneyard. Now this is where we store Jeeps, planes, trains, automobiles, and an occasional spaceship or two. Now the blue helicopter cockpit up here was used in the 1983 film starring Roy Scheider called Blue Thunder. The silver airplane tail section over here, now this has a very interesting story behind it. This was used in the 1942 classic film Casablanca, starring Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. Now when they found that airplane in Texas, they cut the tail section off, read the serial numbers, and found out that it was the actual airplane used in that 1942 classic. The front half is inside the Great Movie Ride, which is the Chinese theater at the center of the park. Next you're going to see 3 blue cars. So these were driven by actor Bob Hoskins as he played Detective Eddie Valiant in the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And just beyond these blue cars, you'll see a red and orange trolley car, Pacific Electric number 717. Now this is also used in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it's really just a modified bus. Now if you look closely, you'll see that the trolley steel wheels are actually fiberglass coverings, which cleverly hide the bus's radial tires. Now just beyond our little yacht club here, you'll see 2 silver space pods. These were used in the 1986 film The Flight of the Navigator. And finally, you'll see a set of colorful gears. Now these were used in the climactic finale of Dick Tracy. Now they might look heavy, but actually they're made out of wood styrofoam and fiberglass, and the heaviest one weighs only 70 pounds. Now remember I told you about our houses on Residential Street, so if you look across the canal, you get a real backstage view. Now notice how the architectural details, such as the shingles on the roof, stop just beyond camera range. That's because we only build what the camera needs to see. Or if the camera needed to see something that we can't find here in Central Florida, such as a working oil on a dry desert canyon. Well, when we built the studios, we added one here in our backlot. Now, normally only production crews would be allowed inside, but the director has a day off. So we're going to go inside and experience some of the milder special effects we have here in our backlot, including our own very inappropriate right now rain scene. Now we're going to be going over a very bumpy bridge, so it's very important that everybody remain seated throughout the entire tour. If you might want to grab a hold of those loose belongings that you're brought with you, such as cameras, purses, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, sons, daughters, anything you keep of value. Now this stadium was modeled after an actual stadium in Southern California. It took over 6 months and $10 million to build. Now that might seem like an awful lot of time and money for one set, and it is. But when you get to see the great special effects we have in here, I'm sure you'll say it was well worth the effort. The tanker truck appears like one of the props we saw in our Boneyard. It is an actual truck and it really does run. However, we cannot drive it into our canyon to hoist it up and over the edge of the canyon and lower it into place out on the crane. Now on our background, we even can recreate the weather here. Now since time is money in movie making, we can't always wait around for Mother Nature to act. So when the cameras are ready to roll, that rain had to be ready to fall, and it needed to fall precisely on cue. And there it is. Now the solution is created by high-powered water stomps on the rim of the canyon just by the camera ring. They spray the water out in a circular motion to give it a windswept look. Now if you notice, rain point descends about 20 feet into the canyon. That's just enough distance to fool the camera's eye into believing that the whole canyon is being rained upon. Scene 1, take 2. Here's your big scene of the earthquake scene. Hold on, everyone. For another take. I think that personal is just good enough. Give yourselves a round of applause. You just survived Catastrophe Canyon. Now, as soon as we get clearance, we're going to take you behind the scenes and show you how those great special effects really do work. And we're all clear. So right now, I'd like to applaud everybody on the show. You did a really good acting job. You really had me convinced that you were scared. The way everybody shifted to one side of the show all at once. And when you saw the appearance of the absorbent children up the block all over for you, it was really incredible. Now please go outside the canyon. If you look off to your left-hand side, you'll see that the canyon itself is just a steel structure covered with wire mesh. The wire mesh is coated with a thin layer of colored cement, then hand-molded to make it look like a rock formation. Now we have thin yellow pipes running throughout the canyon. They carry off a propane gas for fires and explosion. Now if you felt some heat from those fires and explosion, that's because some of them do reach core temperature of over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the larger white pipes carry all the water to our flash flood. Now flash flood is created when we open 3 large holding tanks at the end of the canyon, sending over 70,000 gallons of water thundering towards our shuttle. Now to add more to the scene, we blew some of the water out through green air cannons. Now these air cannons are so powerful that if we took one to New York City, turned it all the way up and stuffed the basketball in it, we could shoot that basketball up and over the top of the Empire State Building in a couple of stories of sparing. Now the earthquake you felt was caused by large hydraulic shaker tables underneath the bridge around. Now if we drew one of those shaker tables on the way up, we could shoot an object weighing more than a ton through the railing and into the base of our canyon. Now Catastrophe Canyon was built with the help of the Hollywood special effects team, and what seemed like an out-of-control disaster was actually a safe computerized sequence of events. Now the canyon can reset itself in only 3.5 minutes. And this gives us just enough time on a really busy day to bring in another show of victims. Now the beauty of the backslide is we can head from the canyons of Southern California right to the big city in only a couple of minutes, and the big city is our next stop. side. Once again, it's Norman. Well, he's walking around now. Also, you'll see the backside of our buildings here on New York Street. They're also just facades or false fronts. They have a steel structure running throughout them, and they were built with Florida weather in mind, so they can withstand hurricane winds in excess of 90 miles an hour. Now, if you look off to your left-hand side, you'll see our small-town church. It was made with plywood sides, simple windows, and wood shingles to give it a small-town look. Now, keep looking at the church, because as the camera comes around the corner, you'll see it turns into a big city cathedral. That's because it faces our own slice, the Big Apple here in Orlando, Florida. It's our own New York Street. And if you look right through the arch, you get to see our own New York skyline right here in Orlando, Florida. Now, this is an old movie-making technique known as forced perspective. Those are really just painted glass. They're only about 2.5 inches thick, 4.5 stories tall. Only about a block and a half away from our shuttle. Also on the right-hand side is the original Dipmobile. It was used in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it was created by Judge Doom in the film. Now, once again, I do have a little good news and a little bad news. The bad news is we've come to the end of our backstage studio tour. The good news is, if you follow Roger Rabbit's big pink footsteps, they'll lead you right through the Linear Bin where you can stop and have something to eat at the Studio Catering Company, where you can go on and see some more of the great attractions here at the Disney-MGM Studios. Now, when you exit the shuttle, it's very important to watch your head and step and to carry all those personal belongings that you're brought with you. Also, please exit all the way past the booth holes before opening your strollers, because our doors will be closing right behind you. And please, do not exit behind the shuttle, because we do have a lot of traffic today, and Tina back there won't like that.